It was supposed to be an ordinary day. The sky above Earth's southern hemisphere was clear. No storms, no threats. Just blue silence. But at exactly 11:37 a.m. UTC, something entered the atmosphere. At first, people thought it was a comet. A glowing, burning trail ripped through the sky. Cities across the globe saw it. News cameras caught it. Children pointed to it like it was a shooting star. But the object didn't fall like a rock. It slowed down. It turned, and it chose to land. A high alert sounded across Earth's defense systems. Satellites locked on. Ground teams readied weapons. Fighter jets were launched. The object, now confirmed as a ship, crashed gently into the Mojave Desert. Not exploded, not burned. It landed. Like it was tired, like it had nowhere else to go. Colonel Adrien Locke, commander of Earth's Joint Defense Base, arrived first with his team. They surrounded the alien ship. Guns drawn, sensors ready. The ship was strange curved metal, full of black scars, like it had been through hundreds of battles. It didn't look like an invasion. It looked like a grave. Then the hatch opened. No weapons came out. No army. Just one alien. It collapsed to the ground. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It was breathing, but just barely. Colonel Locke shouted, "Medic team!" Now, as they rushed in, more aliens crawled out behind the first. Some limped, some dragged others. All of them looked like walking bones. Their eyes were sunken, skin dry and cracked. There were 12 survivors, 12 out of what looked like a ship built for hundreds. For the next few hours, Earth's base became a hospital. Doctors worked nonstop. The aliens were placed in isolation chambers. 4 fluids were used. Their skin reacted strangely to Earth's air, but they didn't seem aggressive. In fact, they looked terrified, not of humans, but of something else. When one of the doctors asked the tallest alien what had happened, the alien stared at him for a long time. Then it whispered, "We ran." The doctor frowned. "From what?" The alien turned its head slowly. Its eyes were completely black, no pupils, no shine. Just cold, empty space, from the Eater of Light. Colonel Locke called a full council meeting. Leaders from major Earth nations joined the call. The footage of the aliens was shared worldwide, but the part about the Eater was kept hidden. They didn't want panic. At least, not yet. Meanwhile, the alien survivors were questioned gently. They didn't resist. They ate small amounts of food. They drank water slowly. They didn't understand most Earth languages, but one of them, a female, spoke broken galactic trade language. She said her name was Vera. Her species? Unknown. No record of them in Earth's database. Her planet? Gone. Colonel Locke sat with her personally. "What destroyed your home?" Vera looked down. Then she began to draw. On the metal table, with her long gray finger, she traced a strange shape. It looked like a circle, but broken in 6 places. Inside, she drew hundreds of dots, then crossed them all out. Then she said, "It comes in light. It leaves nothing." That night, the alien survivors began to scream. One by one, they shook. In their sleep, guards rushed in. Medics followed. All 12 aliens had the same nightmare. They screamed words in their own language, words Earth translators could not decode. But Vera, before she fainted from fear, said something in broken English. "It finds us by hope." Next morning, Earth scientists reviewed the alien ship. There was no engine left. Just ashes. The ship had no weapons, no shields. It had clearly been attacked again and again. Something had burned through the hull from the inside. But one strange device was found still working. It was a beacon, not a distress signal, but AV. Warning: when Earth's engineers cracked the code, the message played in a low, rumbling voice. "Do not help us. Do not answer. Do not listen. If you hear this, bury it. And run." The room fell silent. Even the machine stopped humming. For just a moment. But it was already too late. Earth had answered. Earth had helped. And something, somewhere, Had heard. 2 days later, satellites picked up a strange signal from deep space. It wasn't a transmission. It was a shadow. Something was moving across stars, something big. It didn't reflect light. It didn't radiate heat. It moved without sound, without trail, without explanation. But as it moved, stars behind it dimmed, like something was swallowing the light. Back in the Mojave base, Vera stood quietly at the window. She hadn't spoken since the warning message was found. Colonel Locke joined her. "You knew this would happen." Vera nodded slowly. "We were not weak," she whispered. "We were fast. We ran. You stayed." Locke asked, "What does it want?" Her hands trembled. "It wants memory. It wants history. It wants meaning to end." The colonel stared at her. "Then why come here?" She looked at him. Her black eyes didn't blink. "Because you are loud. You shine too bright. And if we must die..." We wanted someone else to see it first. Outside, the stars were still there. But now, one of them was blinking, and it wasn't a star anymore. The desert air was still, but something had changed. It wasn't the heat. It wasn't the sand. It was the fear. The alien survivors were not speaking, not moving, not sleeping. They just sat still, day and night, staring at the sky. Even the Earth soldiers guarding them had stopped laughing. Something was wrong, and everyone could feel it. Colonel Adrien Locke stood in the Mojave Base Command Center. A large screen showed space data. A strange object moving closer to the solar system. No heat, no radio signal, no light. It moved in a straight line. Nothing stopped it. It passed through asteroid belts without slowing down. One scientist whispered, "It's like space is helping it move." Another said, "It's not flying. It's hunting." Inside the medical wing, the alien named Vera sat quietly on her cot. She had not eaten for 2 days. Doctors tried everything: nutrients, warmth, even music, but she refused it all. When Colonel Locke entered, she didn't look up. He sat beside her. "You told us to run." "Why?" she answered in a soft voice. "Because we didn't, and now we are all that's left." Locke leaned forward. "What is it that chased you?" She turned her head slowly. Her eyes were darker than before. "It doesn't have a name," she said. "Names give things meaning. This one takes meaning away." Locke frowned. "You must have called it something." The other aliens nearby suddenly froze. Even the ones too weak to speak turned their heads. Vera lowered her voice. "If we say it, it listens." Locke was silent. He had seen monsters, fought wars, watched entire cities burn, but he had never seen fear like this. Real fear. Deep, soul-breaking fear. He stood and left the room. Later that night, Vera did something strange. She asked for a piece of metal. When given one, she began to draw. Not with ink, with her nail. Slow, careful marks across the silver surface. Circles. Lines crossing through suns, arrows pointing inward. Then symbols. Symbols that no Earth language could read. But one shape looked like Earth's sun, and near it, she scratched a long black streak. Colonel Locke looked at it. "Is that the path it's taking?" Vera nodded. "It does not chase ships," she said. "It follows memory, pain, light, and kindness." Locke blinked. "Kindness?" Vera's voice cracked. "We helped others. We tried to save what we could. That's how it found us." In the command center, scientists worked through the night. They played the alien warning again. That same message kept repeating. "Do not help us. Do not answer. Do not listen. If you hear this, bury it and run." They scanned every galactic database. No record of the creature. No name. Nothing matched its signature. One AI said, "This is not a known form of life." Another said, "It is not even using known laws of movement." Then something strange happened. The lights flickered, monitors flashed. And all the computers displayed the same image. A face, but not human, not alien. A face made of shifting colors. No mouth, no eyes, no shape, just confusion. The AI shut down. 1. Technician screamed and fainted. When Vera was shown the image, she began to cry. She whispered, "It knows we spoke." That evening, Earth officials debated what to do. Some wanted to hand over the aliens, blame them, push them back into space. Others argued to protect them. Earth had already helped. They couldn't turn away now. But Locke stood up and said one thing that changed the room. If this thing is as dangerous as they say, it won't stop at aliens. It will come for us, whether we hide or fight. At the same time, strange reports came in from space. A mining colony on Mars lost contact. 3 satellites went offline. And Earth's moon showed strange shadows moving across the dark side. When they checked camera footage, there was nothing, just static. Vera grew weaker. She barely spoke now. But when a nurse asked her, "Why won't you say the name?" she replied, "Because when it is named, it becomes part of you. And then you are already lost." One of the aliens broke down. A male, thin and pale, stood in the hallway and began to shout. He shouted in his own language, smashing walls, crying. It took 3 soldiers to hold him down. He screamed one word over and over: Earth. Translators tried to understand. The word meant silence killer. Colonel Locke ordered a new plan. We need to understand it. We can't shoot what we don't understand. He brought in Earth's top mind psychologists, historians, alien linguists. They worked with Vera and the others. One of them finally asked, "What does it want?" Vera whispered, "It wants silence. It wants stillness. It wants everything that sings or dreams or remembers to stop." She explained the truth slowly. Her people were not always weak. They had once ruled 5-star systems, built cities inside suns, made art that floated in space. Then they found an old ruin, not a weapon, not a planet. Just a hole in space. A tear. They studied it, tried to send probes inside. Then something looked back. They ran, but not fast enough. "It does not attack like war," Vera said. "It erases, it removes." "How?" Her eyes filled with tears. "By feeding on what you love. It turns memories against you. It shows you what you fear. Then it shows you nothing until you are nothing." Outside the medical wing, soldiers stood at full alert. No one was joking now. No one doubted the fear. They saw it in the aliens' eyes. They felt it in the air. The stars were still above them, but something had changed. They didn't shine the same. They flickered, like they were afraid to. At 2:14 a.m., the Earth moon base sent one last message before going dark. It read, "We saw something. It looked like us, but not right, not real, not alive." Then the walls began to bleed light. Then we forgot who we were. Vera said one last thing before collapsing that night. "If it comes here, don't look, don't listen, don't trust what you see. And whatever happens, don't speak its name." But it was already too late, because across Earth's sky, something had just blinked. And it wasn't a star. It was an eye. The Mojave base was on full lockdown. No one went in. No one came out. Satellite dishes spun in every direction, scanning the stars. Every channel, every frequency was being watched. And then at exactly 4:22 a.m., something responded. But it wasn't a reply. It wasn't human. And it wasn't coming from Earth. The signal was soft, a slow pulse. 1, 2, pause. Then, again. It didn't sound dangerous. It sounded like breathing. Deep, quiet, endless. At first, Earth scientists thought it was background noise, just static from space. But then it changed. The sound took form. It started to sound human. A voice. Crying. Begging. Colonel Adrien Locke stood in the main control room, staring at the waveform on the screen. He turned to the signal specialist. "Are we broadcasting anything?" The man shook his head. "No, sir. Nothing is going." Out, Locke asked. Then what is it responding to? The signal specialist looked pale. Us, sir. It's responding to our thoughts. Elsewhere in the base, Vera, the alien survivor, woke up screaming. Her body trembled. She reached for her chest as if something was pulling her heart from the inside. It's here, she cried. It sees us. Guards rushed in, medical teams. Tried to calm her, but she pointed to the speaker in the corner of the room. Turn it off. She shouted, that sound, it remembers me. The voice from the signal grew louder, still broken, still faint but clearer. It said, I see you. Then, I was never gone. Then, you called me. One of the soldiers monitoring the signal dropped to his knees. He held his head and screamed. But when asked what he heard, he didn't speak. He just laughed. And then cried like a child. Across the globe, other strange things happened. In Japan, a group of astronomers quit their job on the same night. They said the stars were speaking too clearly. In Germany, a deep space observatory burned itself down. The logs said, we saw our own sun die in reverse. In Chile, a telescope team heard a heartbeat from space. When they followed it, every animal in the area ran in the opposite direction. Back in Mojave, Earth's leaders held another emergency meeting. Some wanted to destroy the alien ship. Some wanted to evacuate Earth's colonies and run. But Colonel Locke had another idea. If this thing feeds on fear, maybe what it hates is truth. He ordered the signal played backward. They reversed every sound, slowed it down. What they heard next made the entire room go still. It was not a monster's voice anymore. It was Vera's, from before, from a time before her world was destroyed. She was singing a song from her childhood, full of light, laughter, and stars. Somehow, the creature had recorded it, twisted it, used it. The enemy wasn't just hunting. It was watching everything it touched. Locke walked into the medical wing and faced Vera. He said, it knows your voice. Vera nodded. Yes, it keeps all voices. It hides them in darkness, so no one remembers who they were. Locke sat beside her. Can we stop it? She looked down. Not with ships, not with fire, but maybe with something stronger. He asked, what's stronger? She whispered, a story. That night, Locke did something bold. He broadcast a message, not just to space, but to the galaxy. He told Earth's story. He talked about Earth's wars, its victories, its music, its losses, and its hope. He told the stars what it meant to be human. Not perfect, but stubborn. Alive. Then, at the end, he said, we know you're out there, but we are not afraid to be remembered. The signal stopped for 5 seconds. Total silence. No noise. No interference. Not even static. Then, a sound like glass cracking, followed by a soft whisper, you should have stayed forgotten. Lights flickered. Every screen in the Mojave base turned white. Then, an image appeared, a human face, but wrong. Eyes on the side. Skin like melted wax, and a smile that didn't move. Vera screamed from the other room. It made you from us. It learns you. Colonel Locke stepped forward. It wants us to break, but we won't. Just then, the signal spiked again. This time, it was our voices. Recordings from Earth news clips. Voices of lost soldiers, cries from past wars. It had copied our pain. And now, it was throwing it back. One scientist cried, it's not just watching, it's mirroring. Another said, it's building a version of us, but hollow. Then, one of Earth's space satellites sent its last message, a video. A planet far away was seen folding in on itself, not burning, not breaking, just disappearing. Piece by piece, it turned to black. Dust and floated upward, like it was being unwritten. Locke knew now. This was not a battle of guns. It was a battle of memory, a battle of existence. And Earth had made a choice. To fight by being seen. To live by being known. And if this thing wanted silence, Earth would scream. Outside, the stars blinked again. But this time, they blinked in rhythm, and Vera, staring out the window, whispered, "Others heard us. Others are coming." The sky above Earth had never looked so quiet, but it was not peace. It was waiting. Something was watching from the dark, something that had already erased planets. And now, it looked at Earth. Colonel Adrien Locke stood outside the Mojave base. He watched the stars with tired eyes. He had seen many wars, but this felt different. This was not a fight for land or power. This was a fight for memory, for the right to exist. And the enemy was silence itself. Inside the base, Vera sat weakly in her chair. She had stopped eating again. Her skin looked pale. Her eyes barely opened. When the nurse asked her what was wrong, she answered slowly, "It's reaching. I feel it inside my thoughts. It wants me to forget who I was." That night, the stars above Earth changed, just a little. One star blinked and did not come back, then another and another. Scientists monitoring the observatory whispered, "It's not just destroying worlds, it's erasing their light from the sky, from time, like they were never there." Back in the control room, an alert beeped. A signal had been detected, not from the enemy, but from deep space. From somewhere behind the black void. It was weak. Faint. But real. The translation came back as, "We remember Earth, we will not let it fall." Colonel Locke looked at the data. The origin was far, very far. The message had traveled years, through space. But it had come. Not from humans, not from aliens Earth had ever met, but from someone, or something, still out there. Still alive. Suddenly, Vera gasped. Her eyes opened wide. She looked at the screen and whispered, "The Starbinders, they survived." No one in the room knew that name, but she explained, "Long ago, my people met them. They had no armies, no ships, but their minds could wrap stars in memory. They didn't fight with weapons, they fought with truth. They could trap darkness inside story and hold it forever." Colonel Locke understood now. This war was bigger than Earth. It was bigger than humans and aliens. It was about what gets remembered and what gets erased. Then the power went out. All screens black. All machines silent. The base fell into complete darkness. But outside, above the desert, something appeared. Not a ship. Not light. A shape in the sky. Black against black. It moved like it didn't care about space. It just was. And it was looking down. Every soldier aimed weapons toward the shape, but none fired, because no one could feel their fingers. Inside the base, the backup generators clicked on, emergency lights flashed red, and the speakers played the same voice as before. "You are a flicker. You are noise. You will end." But this time, something answered back. A new voice. Calm. Strange. Beautiful. "We are the flame. And we remember." Across the sky, tiny blue dots appeared, dozens, then hundreds. Moving fast, faster than any Earth ship. They flew straight toward the black shape in the sky. And when they touched it, they didn't explode, they sang. A soft hum filled the air. It vibrated in people's bones. In their teeth. In their hearts. Vera smiled. For the first time in days, she smiled. "It hurts it," she whispered. "The song hurts it." Colonel Locke looked at the alien objects moving through the sky. He asked, "Are those weapons?" Vera said, "No, they're stories. Alive, carried by minds stronger than machines." Then, for the first time ever, the darkness flinched. It moved back. Not far, but enough. Like a shadow surprised by light. Cheers broke out in the control room. Soldiers clapped. Scientists wept. And Earth knew one thing. They were not alone. But the celebration didn't last long, because the black shape in the sky spoke again. Louder. Angrier. The words were not heard through ears. They were felt. "You cannot sing forever. You cannot hold fire in your mouth. You will fade." And then it vanished. No sound. No light. Just gone. But no one believed it had left. It had only stepped back, for now. The next day, Earth received more messages. From old colonies. From deep space probes. From alien stations long thought destroyed. The messages were short. Some only said, "We saw the light." Others said, "Your voice broke the silence. We remember you now." Humanity's choice to speak had lit a spark, one that others had seen. Others who had given up. Others who had hidden for centuries. Now they were waking up. Colonel Locke gathered his team. He looked across the room, soldiers, scientists, survivors, and he said one thing: "We don't run. Not now. We tell our story louder. We make it impossible to forget us." But Vera warned him, "The silence is not gone. It will come back stronger. It always does." Locke nodded. "Then we'll be louder," he ordered. A global signal to be sent. A simple message, not to fight, not to beg, but to remember. It played on every screen, every channel. Old music, children laughing. Stories from every culture, cries of joy, moments of love. Victories. Losses. Everything that made Earth real, somewhere in the void. The darkness listened. And for the first time in eons, it paused. Because it knew this species would not be quiet. For 3 days, Earth had peace. 3 days without the black shape in the sky. 3 days without fear crawling in the minds of soldiers and scientists. People began to hope. Some even smiled again. But deep inside the Mojave base, Vera did not smile. She knew better. She sat alone in the dark, eyes closed, breathing slow. And then she whispered, "To no one, it's coming back. And it's not alone this time." High above Earth, satellite cameras picked up something strange. Not one dark shape. Thousands. Moving like shadows in the cold space. No engines. No sound, just drifting closer, piece by piece. Colonel Locke stood in the war room. Around him, giant screens showed the Earth sky filled with approaching voids. He asked his team, "How many can we stop?" A weapons officer replied, "None, sir. They're not physical. Our missiles pass through them." A scientist added, "They're not ships. They're memories, dead, twisted ones." Suddenly, the power flickered, then went out, then came back. But when the lights returned, the walls were covered in moving shadows, not just flickers, but shapes. Tall. Thin. Shifting. Like memories of things that never existed. On every screen appeared the same message: "You lit the fire. Now you burn. You opened the door. Now we walk through." Vera ran into the control room. She was shaking, but her voice was steady. "They're not just here to erase. They want to replace. They want to become Earth's story." One young technician screamed. His monitor showed old Earth. News but wrong. Cities that never existed. Wars that never happened. Leaders who looked human, but had no eyes. The darkness was rewriting Earth's history. And it was doing it fast. Colonel Locke slammed his hand on the table. "We fight. I don't care if they're made of shadow. We don't just let them take who we are. But how do you fight something that isn't made of flesh? Something that lives in thoughts, that breathes in memory, that feeds on fear?" Earth had one weapon left. The voices of the living, the strength of truth, the power of being known. Locke ordered a new plan. He called it the Flame Protocol. Every radio on Earth. Every satellite. Every signal tower. Would send out real stories. Voices from Earth. From kids, elders, farmers, soldiers, doctors and dreamers. Songs, jokes, cries, screams, memories. Anything real, anything human. And it worked at first. The darkness slowed. Some of the shadows vanished. The sky cleared for a moment. But then something worse happened. The darkness adapted. It began speaking back, using Earth's own voices. Copied. Twisted. It used a mother's laugh to cause panic. A child's prayer to send chills down spines. It used us against us. In hospitals, people heard dead relatives calling to them. In military bases, Alarms shouted orders that led to disaster. Ships launched missiles at allies, thinking they were enemies. Earth was tearing itself apart from the inside. And then it happened. One of the flame protocol towers fell silent, then another. Then 10 more. The darkness was not just adapting, it was winning. Vera collapsed. Her body shook. Nose bleeding. She said through clenched teeth, "It's trying to write itself into me. It's using my memories, my pain, my voice." Colonel Locke knelt beside her. He asked, "Is there anything left that it can't copy?" She opened her eyes slowly and said one word: "Hope." Locke stood. He turned to the world leaders watching. "Through live stream," he said, "we tell a new story. Not about fear, not about pain, but about what comes after." So Earth's people began again. This time, the messages weren't about what had happened. They were about what would happen. Dreams, plans, hopes. People talked about the future. About rebuilding. About flying farther, loving more, fighting together, laughing. Again. And the darkness? It couldn't copy the future. It didn't know how. It only fed on the past, on fear. So for the first time, it screamed. The shadows twisted in the sky. They stretched. They shrank. They fought to stay, but the light was too strong. The voices were too real. And Earth? It didn't break. Not this time. It remembered who it was. And that made it stronger than any monster of memory. One by one, the black shapes faded. Some didn't vanish. They shattered into pieces of false stories, fragments of fear, dust that could not hold shape anymore. Then, at last, silence. Real silence. The kind that comes after a storm. Not empty, but full of breath. And life. The sky above. Earth cleared. No more shadows. Only stars. And for the first time in weeks, they looked still and bright. Colonel Locke stepped outside the Mojave base. He looked up. He smiled. He said softly, "They came to rewrite us, but we made sure the pen was still in our hand." And somewhere far beyond the stars, someone else heard. And whispered, "Earth held the line." 3 days passed. Earth was quiet again. No shadows in the sky. No voices in the radios. The black shapes had disappeared, and for the first time in weeks, people began to live again. Cities lit up. Schools reopened. Families gathered in parks. Colonel Locke stood in front of a global broadcast and said, "We held the line. Earth stands." The world cheered, but not everyone smiled. Inside the Mojave base, Vera stayed silent. She stared at a dark screen. She hadn't spoken since the night the darkness left. Not one word. She just watched. And waited. Dr. Sheeran, her caretaker, asked softly, "Do you feel something again?" Vera didn't answer. She just pointed to a wall. There was nothing there. Just smooth, clean steel. But Vera whispered, "It's still here." Far away, in a small town in Norway, a boy woke up screaming. He shouted in a language he never learned. His parents rushed in. He didn't know them. He said his name was Unit 19, and that Earth had failed. In Japan, an artist painted the same dark tower in every picture. He said it came from his dreams. In Brazil, a woman began writing stories she didn't remember learning. They were cold. Empty. Like someone else was using her hand. The flame protocol had been shut down, but signals were still being sent from somewhere on Earth. Colonel Locke was alerted. He gathered his best team. They followed the hidden signals. All of them led to the same place, the Arctic. There, under the ice, they found something terrifying. A small metal cube. Black. Pulsing. Slowly. It wasn't big, only the size of a lunchbox. But the snow around it had melted, even though the temperature was minus 40 degrees Celsius. As the team approached, they heard voices. Their own voices playing back their words from earlier missions, but twisted. Wrong. One soldier dropped his weapon and cried, "That thing knows me. It knows me." The cube wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a creature. It was something worse. A seed. Back in. Mojave, Vera finally spoke. It left part of itself behind. It couldn't erase Earth, so it planted itself here. It wants to grow, quietly, from the inside. Colonel Locke understood. The war wasn't over. It had just changed. Now, the battlefield was within. The cube was transported to a secure underground lab. Lead walls. AI-controlled guards. Zero human access. But the next morning, the AI shut itself off, without warning. The guards reported hearing laughter from the cube. Not evil laughter, their own. Dr. Sheeran proposed an idea. What if we don't destroy it? What if we study it, see how it thinks? Locke shook his head. We can't risk that. Curiosity is how it spreads. So they locked it away. Deep under the Mojave Desert. Inside a chamber, with no doors. Only remote cameras. But each night, the cube changed shape. It grew small branches. Like roots. Searching. Spreading. And in cities across the world, strange things kept happening. Children drawing symbols they couldn't explain. People remembering events that never happened. Digital. Screens blinking with words no one typed. The darkness hadn't been defeated. Just slowed. Its echo lived inside stories now. Inside people. Inside memory. Locke called an emergency meeting. Vera, now stronger, stood beside him. He asked the question no one wanted to say. What if it's already in us? Vera looked around the room. And answered, then we don't try to erase it. We balance it with more stories, stronger ones. Not just human ones, but all the voices that darkness tried to silence. So a new plan was born. Not a war. A signal, stronger than any before, made by Earth. But not just for Earth. It would carry every real story, joy, fear, pain, love, loss. Dreams. Broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. They called it Project Memory Light. Not a weapon, not a shield, a beacon. And when the signal launched, the world held its breath. The skies above Earth shimmered with color. Lights danced through the atmosphere. The voices of billions flowed outward, and far, very far, in the silence between stars. Something heard it, something that had forgotten itself, and it remembered. A new voice came back, not dark. Not angry, but gentle. Afraid. We were lost. We were taken. Thank you for calling us back. Colonel Locke sat in silence, his eyes wide. They weren't monsters. They were victims. Vera nodded slowly. Tears in her eyes. And now, maybe they can be healed. But deep below Mojave, the cube pulsed again. Faster. Now. Louder. It heard the signal too. And it was changing. Underground. Cold steel. Thick walls. No sound. The cube had been sleeping. For weeks. Until now. Without warning. The cube's surface cracked. Not broken. Just open. Thin lines of blue light spread across it like veins. Inside the control room, cameras picked it up. Sirens blared. Alarms flashed red. Colonel Locke rushed in. Beside him stood Vera and Dr. Sheeran. On the screen, the cube pulsed like a heart. Each beat sent out a tiny wave, unseen, but powerful. All around the Mojave base, people stopped what they were doing. Some dropped their tools. Others fell to their knees. A few just cried. It's not just sending signals anymore. Sheeran whispered. It's listening. In a distant village in Kenya, a boy stood in the sun and said a name he had never heard before. In Germany, an old man drew a star-shaped symbol on his wall and smiled before falling asleep forever. In space, a passing probe blinked once and went dark. The cube was calling, not to Earth. But beyond. Vera suddenly stepped forward. I can hear it, she said. Not words, but feelings. It's not angry anymore. It's scared. Colonel Locke frowned. Good, that means it's still unsure. We still have time. But Vera shook her head. No, it's not scared of us. It's scared of what's coming. Everyone went silent. And then the screen went black. Only one word appeared. Run. Before anyone could move, the ground shook. Not an earthquake. Not a bomb. Something below. Far below. Something ancient. Something buried. Something waking. Up. Dr. Sheeran screamed. She pointed at the cube. It was now floating. Rising. Spinning. Projecting. Images into the air of another world. Not Earth. Not any star system they knew. Just a ruined place. Burnt skies. Ash rivers. Bones of cities. That's where the darkness came from, Vera whispered. That's what it did before. That is what's coming for us next. But this wasn't just a memory. It was a message. Colonel Locke stared at the floating cube. It's warning us. Suddenly the cube stopped spinning. The blue lines turned white, then gold. A deep hum filled the chamber. Then it spoke. Not in one voice. In many. Thousands of voices, male, female, young, old, human, and not. They said one thing. Final memory approaches. Earth will be tested. Truth or silence. Life or echo. Choose. Everyone stared. Even the hardened soldiers felt cold. What does it mean? One asked. Vera closed her eyes, then opened them again, glowing slightly. It means the galaxy is watching. It means Earth's story is the last one that matters. Suddenly, the cube shot upward. It passed through steel, concrete, and rock like they were mist. It didn't stop until it reached the sky. And there, in the clouds, it exploded into light. A burst of gold and white spread over the planet. Every human felt it. Every mind, every heart. And then, Earth changed. Not the ground. Not the sea, but memory. People began to remember. Things they never lived. Wars that didn't happen. Friends they never met. Pain they never suffered. But also, hope they never had. Children woke up laughing, remembering dreams they never dreamed. Old women remembered being strong. Soldiers remembered peace. Artists saw colors never seen before. Vera stood outside the Mojave base. She looked up. Tears rolled down her face. It gave us a choice, she said. And it gave us the tools. Colonel Locke didn't understand. Tools for what? She turned to him, eyes glowing brighter now, to shape the final story. We decide what happens next. Suddenly, the sky opened, not like a storm, not like an invasion, just a soft tear in the clouds. And from that tear came light. Pure. Warm. Behind it a shape. Large. Slow. Not a ship. Not a creature, just presence, like time itself, stepping forward. All systems on Earth shut down. No satellites. No weapons. Just silence and light. The final test had arrived. Not a fight, not a war, but a simple question. Who are you, Earth? Vera stepped forward. No guns. No armor, just her voice. We are many stories, some broken, some dark. But we are also light. We are also new beginnings. And we choose to be remembered as hope. The sky pulsed once. Bright. And the shape paused. Then it bowed. The light folded into itself. The tear closed. And Earth stood untouched. But changed. Deeply changed. People remembered, not just pain, not just fear, but everything. Every voice. Every name. Every lost dream. Returned. The cube. Gone. Not destroyed. Just part of them now. Colonel Locke walked through the Mojave base in silence. He looked at Vera and said, "So, did we pass?" She smiled gently. "We remembered." A strange silence fell across Earth. Not from fear. Not from danger, but from peace. Real peace. No enemy ships. No black clouds in the sky. The strange presence that had tested Earth. It was gone, but something had changed forever. People no longer felt alone. They heard whispers in the wind, not frightening ones, but soft, warm memories. The cube was gone, but its gift remained. Project Memory Light continued to grow, not as a weapon, not as defense, but as a signal, telling the galaxy, Earth is still here, and we remember. Colonel Locke stood before a new council, not just human leaders, but survivors from other worlds. The darkness had once tried to erase. Some were tall and thin. Some glowed softly. Some had no eyes, but saw everything, and they all listened to him. Speak, we were meant to disappear, but we didn't. Not because we fought harder, but because we chose to keep each other's stories alive. They nodded. They understood, because now they had started remembering too. All across the stars, planets began to wake, abandoned ruins now, whispered forgotten songs. Ancient satellites blinked for the first time in ages, extinct languages returned. In dreams, the darkness that once erased memory had been OU to SHINED. Not by weapons. But by truth. And Earth. It became something new. Not just a blue world, not just a survivor, but a keeper. A guardian of memory. Children were taught stories not just from Earth, but from lost worlds. Art, language, laughter, tears woven together. Old wars were told not to stir hate, but to teach peace. In a classroom in Kenya, a girl told a story about a creature from a burned moon who learned to sing again. In Alaska, a boy drew the first flag of the United Stars of Memory. It had a single circle in the middle, and inside it, a spark. Back at Mojave Base, Vera sat by a quiet pool. No guards followed her now. No cameras watched. She had become something more than human, but also more human than anyone. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I remember them. All of them. They live through us now." Dr. Sheeran stood beside her, and because of you, Earth became something no one expected. Not the strongest, not the deadliest, but the most important. In the sky, new stations were built, not to fire missiles, but to collect stories. Ships were no longer built to conquer. They were made to explore, record, share. Then, one quiet day, a signal arrived from far beyond the known stars. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even words. Just a soft echo, like a heartbeat. A message that said, "We heard you. We thought we were alone, but now we remember too." Earth wasn't the only world that had survived. There were others. Scattered, hidden, afraid. But now, they were waking up. Colonel Locke walked into the broadcast chamber. For the first time, he was about to speak not just to Earth, but to the galaxy. Vera joined him. She didn't need armor or weapons. She only needed her voice. And together, they sent out Earth's final message. To those who hear us, you are not alone. We were almost erased too, but we chose memory over fear. We chose stories over silence. And because of that, we are still here. That message traveled far. Past stars. Through storms, into voids that had been empty for eons, and where it touched, light returned. No empire rose. No flags planted. Just unity. Just remembrance. Just life. Earth, once ignored. Once mocked. Once targeted for destruction, had become the beating heart of something greater. In a hidden archive on Luna Station, carved into a wall, were the first words ever sent by humanity when the war began. "We are still learning, but we will not be forgotten." And below it, someone had added a new line. "They tried to silence us, but we became the voice of the stars." Years passed, but Earth's signal never stopped. It reached new worlds, healed broken ones, rebuilt lost languages, connected souls who thought they were forgotten. Because even after all the wars, even after the darkness, one truth stood strong. Stories can survive anything, and Earth never stopped telling them. The end.